then we shall begin the process of creating our first of 2 Noble Genie Warlocks with the Unearthed Arcana subclasses 1, and as subclasses 2 was officially released after that initial leak, and apparently that even got a couple tweaks as there's a little feedback on the Cleric domain. We're going to be going over that for week 2 of February, and then week 3 will not only be our normal box raffle, where we give away boxes of minis to people in the community, depending on the number of subscribers to the channel. That will also be the mini painting week. And so for any of you who have a Goblin Prime, I'll paint a mini for you during that week. Raz, I believe that background had already been... yeah, Senin had picked up background, although Senin did say that if someone else, and correct me if I'm wrong, Senin, if someone else wanted it, that you would be fine taking another role. Okay, no problem. Yep, I just wanted to confirm. No problem. All right then, without further ado, we have our manual of player character golems, and we are going to start rolling. And so, Senin, why don't you get the first roll in on this character, since you so kindly gave up background to Raz. I will mark that as complete in the queue, and go ahead and give me a D100 roll. Raz, no, it's okay. You have background. Senin had said that it was fine. There's no nothing wrong. So Senin, go ahead, exclamation point, roll space 1D100, and we get a 48. We have a male character. Now, remember, our first one we're gonna just tie to the player's handbook itself. And then the other, we'll just go ham. So I'm going to turn these options off. Bringing us to 9. Cold Spark. Will you roll for... Oh, there we go. A human. Of course we start off with a human. All right. Holy humans, yeah. Now we need to decide which kind of a human, and so Diadems, can you please roll a D12? Those don't get the love they deserve. If it's odds, we have a standard. If it's evens, we'll have a variant human. Duality Discretion, welcome. Diadems might have stepped away, so I'll tell you, hey, Duality, thank you for joining us. So, congratulations, you have homework. Haha. Can you please, in chat, type exclamation point roll, R-O-L-L, space 1D, as in doggo, 12. Evens, we have a variant human. All right, medium-sized, common, and one other. And there we go. Oh, and most importantly, 0 dark vision. All right. We continue with the process. Did anyone lock in alignment with their inspiration points? I don't see it offhand. And so, James Norse, if you're around, can you give me a D100 roll in chat? Exclamation point roll space 1D100. And we're going to use the balanced odds chart for this character. 88. Why are our first characters mostly human and well, let's see, of the two, I think last night was the exception, but we've had an evil character and a human character in some combination. Hey, it's fine. We're getting a nice breadth of personality. So a neutral evil character. Now there are a couple normal roles that we're going to be skipping over, as we know we're making a level 20 character, so we can explore the whole package of the Noble Genie in its endgame. And so we have here Warlock, Noble Genie. Now, if any, pardon me. If any of you wanted to roll for the type of Pact, that will be a roll towards the end of the randomization. Now we can determine, are we going to take ability score improvements or a certain number of feats instead? And Van Sunny, can you please give me a percentile roll in chat to help us determine that? Roll a 63. Ooh, close to taking a feat, but it's going to be au naturel. It's going to be all us. Then, I wish, unfortunately, I don't think there's any major retailers or even store brand stuff that would take inspiration points. For the backgrounds, we're going to go back to the basics, player's handbook only. So let's turn these options off. This is going to give us 18, and Raz would like to roll for the background. Raz, would you kindly roll a D18 in chat and let us know the background of this character? $12. Another noble knight. Ooh, all right. And you know what? Our other noble knight was also evil, and was a human. That was the young woman, I believe. The monk. Yeah. Who? Oh, gee. Yeah. Well, we're gonna go back and explore it. Why am I? Trying to remember when we could just go right back here. Noble knight, noble Genie. Well, we'll see how noble or ignoble the character is. Yeah, it was the character we were saying has like really blonde hair and twin drills for the hairstyle. What were we filling? Oh, the background here. A knight. Now, as a knight, there's no other additional roles to worry about. So it would just be personality traits and then the ideal bond and flaw. So coming back here, coming back here, Senin, I see that you would like the ideal bond and flaw, so please give me a 3d6. And Nina, the penalty for coming into the workshop and being friends with us is you're gonna have to roll some dice. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Nina, can you use Mathrock's bot to roll 2d8? You're here, you got kidnapped by Mendari. How's her broadcast? Yes, I'm sorry, Nina, you have to roll dice in this D&D channel. 2, 1, and 5 for the ideal bond and flaw. Everything is riding on you, Nina. No pressure. Exclamation point roll space 2d8. Seven and 4. All right. We'll see what horrible, beautiful creation you've brought upon us, Nina, with that combo. Yeah, you know, hopefully I will get to come back sometime in this coming year, at least once, if not a few times, to pop in on Party Foul. I had a ton of fun with them when I was able to make that guest appearance a couple months ago. But I'm glad the show went well, and I'm happy. I'm happy that it's continuing and that everyone there is just having so much fun. All right, that is our ideal bond and flaw, and now we're going to, well, our character class and our subclass is already decided for us because we are exploring this playtest content in Unearthed Arcana. The Noble Genie, which I guess that means that we're getting our powers from, well, I don't know, is Shantae a Noble Genie? She's a half genie. So I don't know if she'd be powerful enough to be a patron. Maybe she would like work on behalf of the Noble Genie and like be the intermediary that would give you assignments. Now a Warlock does have... Whoop. Oh, we already have that. You know, the Warlock should have, as an alternate option here, the type of Pact. But you know what? With the expanded list here, there may be a few things that, well, we're just gonna have to find out that do or don't show up. We get our powers from Robin Williams, Genie? Okay. Cromdrade wants to roll for anything. Well, Demon, you have your dealer's choice in here first, and I need a D3, and we will, pardon me. On a 1, 2, or 3, that'll determine the packs as they appear in the Hubba Hubba Hubba. So we'll go Chain, Blade, Tome in that order. Demon Quiller got us a 1, so we are a Pact of the Chain Noble Genie Warlock. Knight also. All right. We never had a friend like he. And now, Cromdrade, we need to determine the age of our character. And to help us do that, can I please have a percentile roll in chat? Hey, GM Vault. 72, we have a middle-aged warlock. To determine that, GM Vault, can you do me a favor, and in chat, can you please type !roll space 1d19 plus 44. Oh, what happened, Nina? Oh, did you get a figure? Is that what you did? Several? Am I gonna have to rub your nose in them to teach you a lesson? Nina, Nina, Nina. Maybe. GM Vault is rebelling against my humble request. And so Nina, once again, I'm gonna shine the spotlight on you. I'm gonna call you to the front of the class as punishment for getting several figures, and I need you to do some advanced math by typing !roll space 1d19 plus 44. Dems de berries, Nina. All right, we have a 47-year-old warlock. Duality discretion. Can you please give me our height modifier with !roll space 2d10? And Hark, I see you there, Hark. I need you to give me a 2d4 for our weight modifier. Oh, GM, what happened? All right, Duality's giving us a height modifier of 8 inches and a weight modifier of 5 pounds. And so what that means is we're adding 8 inches to the base height of a human, making us 4 foot 16 inches. And then we're going to multiply 5 times 8 for 40 and add that to our base weight. So he's 150 pounds standing at 5'4". Oh, no, it's fine, Duality. Bots vary like that. Oh, your friend did pass away this morning, GM Vault. Well, hopefully, I mean, in hospice care, I imagine that he was given, comfort, and that there were friends and family around. And you know what, GM Vault, while the time that you had to have him realize, to run that one shot, that's session 0, because other people were visiting, I sincerely hope that an experience like that meant the world to your friend. And the fact that you and your play group went out and did that in that time of, I don't know. I don't know how your friend was processing the situation that he was in, but if only for that time you all could suspend what was happening in, you know, in our real world and immerse yourselves in this story, that you were able to, you know, plant the seed. And you know, for anything, you know, if there was anything that came up there, you know, some elements of a story or interesting characters, GM Vault, it's always something then that you can cultivate and nurture in the future. I do recall you saying that you were going to have a small memoriam at your table for your friend by inscribing his name onto a dagger, if I recall, and that you were gonna, you know, like set it at the table. And so I am, you know, I'm sorry for your loss, GM Vault. I'll tell you though, with what you had shared and the fact that, you know, he had friends like you, well, I hope it was the best of a worst case scenario. Yeah, you gave him light while he was here. Yep. But GM Vault, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing an experience like this. As you know, to take a quick aside here, because we'll get to our character. The character can wait. It means a lot to me personally that you are, you know, that you are sharing this kind of a moment, because with, if you want to call it a hobby, I think that's accurate. Even a lifestyle, as long as it's not out of control. But you know, for all of us who have taken up D&D and even other RPGs, it becomes a lifelong adventure. It becomes something that we can talk about, and hopefully with more good memories than bad. I mean, unfortunately, you know, we have bad experiences at the tabletop, or things happen in life that, you know, are milestones along our campaigns, along our weekly rituals of getting together around a box of pizza and pushing little pieces of plastic around. You know, telling fantastic tales, making horrible jokes and puns, and otherwise, you know, exploring lives that could be, ideas that might challenge who we are and what we think, or at least get us to, you know, open our minds up to different experiences in life. And so it means a lot to me. Obviously, when you all come in and you're like, we had a great session, you know, we were hooting and hollering. Remember, hooting is always the gateway to hollering, so just watch out for that. And I love hearing those stories. And while we never want bad news, GM Vault, it is still an honor that you are comfortable enough with this community that you come here to share this other kind of news. Both so that we can offer you our friendship and condolences and support, as well as by extension your play group. But this is also an important lesson in just what this game celebrates when it comes to humanity and the compassion that we feel. And, you know, interestingly, the emotions we feel about things, of course, that happen in our lives, you know, IRL, but even a reflection on the things that might work us up and bring us to tears of sadness, or even tears of joy at a joke or something that happens in a game. And so, I'm sure I'm not the first GM that has lost a player. But I haven't. Brings everyone's mortality to the forefront. Yep. And you know, that pause for reflection can help us improve our own lives, and thereby going on forward to improve the lives of others. It can reforge and re-strengthen the bonds of friendship that you share at your gaming table. And it is a valuable lesson, GM. This is a valuable lesson for us all to stop and consider, to think about what this means for our own play groups, for our own, just for our own communities or families and friends. Senan, you are correct. Chrome Drade says it does, and grief messes you up for a while, but you can move forward, and gaming is therapy as you honor them in game and out. Yes. Yep. It it is, and you are certainly not the first that has lost a player, especially as to take another moment. I mean, how dare I interrupt our character creation by having a hashtag real talk. But you know what? This is also a reflection of life. Things happen, and priorities to explore and discuss come up. Oh shoot. My train of thought. I just got oh yes. As for the GMs who have lost those along the way, because of because gaming can be a form of therapy, and for many others, it was also, many can use it as a form of escapism, and perhaps not always a healthy one, though you may not realize it on the surface when they come to the session and they might bring snacks and drinks or something along those lines. But unfortunately, and I don't have the statistics in front of me, but anecdotally, those who engage in a lot of gaming, video games or even tabletop, have higher rates of loss to things like suicide, or even health-related issues, depending on the life circumstances, diseases, self-imposed choices, or whatever. And so we as tabletop gamers do face loss. We face those who might come to our table with some kind of a disability. It could be a physical one, it could be a mental or an emotional disability of some kind. And so there are always challenges to be had, and this is a good reflection on who we are and how we live our lives and how we want to. Not just in the fun sense that we're casting spells and swinging swords, but when we do get these hard checks in real life, they can cause us to reflect on our own selves, and to see if we can improve in some way. Oh, James, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip over your comment there, James, but you said that you were in the same boat last weekend. Well, if you don't need to get into the details, but James, if you also experienced a loss of someone at your tabletop, friend, family, or even if it was, for all I know, is a public game and it was just a regular that maybe you were never best friends with, but you just expected them to show up every week. Well, at least we can come together in these times and share. Yep, exactly, GM Vault. You are correct. Yeah, while I agree with that sentiment, I'll tell you, there have been times also that I have seen friendships challenged at the tabletop, where things had really heated up, and I had to pull the plug. I'm like, no, I hit the circuit breaker. No, we're not having a game of D&D ruin a friendship, because things got super tense. But such is the evocative nature of our minds and our imaginations, and the fact that we can get so passionate about each other IRL, and then about the things that we do when we're creating a story together. Hey, good morning, Slaso. Good to see you again. Well, it depends on the nature of the group and the intensity of the game as well, Senin. Only seen things get really heated twice in the 30 years of playing D&D. Yeah, I'd like to say for the most part, we have positive experiences, or we should. All right. Well, not that we still can't continue to have the real talk. GM Vault, again, thank you for being here, and even for sharing the news that you did. Now that we have the outline of our character, we can begin exploring who our character is, right? As much as we were just talking about what are the stories that we've told, what are the milestones in our lives that we have measured against, what are our good and bad experiences, as you all are sharing there as well. We can take the things that we've experienced and translate that into a character. Crumdrede says, we had worse in a game when I was a teen. Only time I had a bad experience. I'm happy then that anecdotally there's been far more good than bad. All right, GM Vault. Lurk and listen away. And if you ever need to pop back in for a howdy or a well-timed pun, you know that you're always welcome to do so. Yep, that they do, Crumdrade. And this is why I love beginning character creation with our background. Yeah, we have a Warlock, and you know what? There's a shiny, brand new patron that we can assign to this Warlock. I want to know who our Warlock is beyond that. Beyond a human, beyond a noble Genie Warlock that has a chain pact. Which, funnily enough, it'd be interesting if and I'll get to that idea in a little bit about the Genie's actually the familiar. All right. The background that was rolled, and I know all of you brought your player's handbooks to the workshop, right? Come on. This ain't your first rodeo, unless it is. I guess that would mean duality discretion. You get a pass because this is your first time here. I'm not expecting you to have your player's handbook. We begin character... Oh, you do, though? All right, everyone. Duality is setting an unreasonable standard that I'm not going to hold all the rest of you to. And Duality even gave me this nice shiny apple to eat, too. First thing in the morning. Right on my desk. Yep, Nina, you're in for it now. Duality is setting a high bar. Yep. I might have to send a note home for your parents to sign. Heckin' teachers' pets. Where were we? The noble. The noble. Let's discover our character before we worry about the mechanics. History and persuasion are going to be our proficiencies. And we're going to have a tool proficiency in one type of gaming set. And so, hey, Awaz. Nina, I was just going to call on you for another dice roll to bring you to the front of the class. However, Awaz showed up, and your assignment is going that direction. Awaz, can you please type !roll space 1d4? Rolled a 3. All right. I'll double check which gaming set that is, but that is the gaming set for which we have a proficiency. And then we're also going to get another language of our choice. For some equipment, we're going to get a set of fine clothes, a signet ring, and a scroll of pedigree. And we could even treat this or the signet ring as some kind of proof that we do belong to this line of knights or this noble house. And so we can treat something like the signet ring as a trinket, and that can then act as the proof that we are who we say we are. And if you don't want to do that because you want a signet ring, maybe your trinket is your casting implement. Or maybe your DM just gives you a trinket as well. Awaz, it's good to see you back. Doing very well, thank you. Duality discretion, for being such a good student, can you please roll up our trinket with a D100 roll? And while you do that, we also have, it says a purse. I'll still put belt pouch. That contains 15 gold pieces. I'm 25, I'm sorry. Rolling a 74. All right, we will look up what that is at the end of character creation. But for right now, that is our signet ring. We have 2 choices for our background feature. Either the position of privilege, where we are singularly important enough that we can gain an audience with highfalutin members of society, or we can take retainers, and for either a noble or a knight, it's a set of 3 NPCs, maybe more or less depending on what your DM says, who are traditionally non-combatants, depending on what your DM says. That would follow us around to carry our things, to help us wash, to translate, to do whatever it is that our retainers need to do. And so until we figure out more about our character, I don't want to give them either just yet. So I'm going to keep that blank. Yeah, there's a chance we might get more combat battle maids, Nina. Yeah, something like a private cook, a tutor, something along those lines. All right. What is our personality like? Number 7. My favor, once lost, is lost forever. My favor, once lost, is lost forever. So maybe at first we're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, even if it's for our own personal uses, as we are expressing ourselves in a selfish manner by being this neutral evil alignment. Though, if you let us down, you know, we're not Megatron giving Starscream a second chance for the 5th time. We are a little bit more vindictive about that. Next up, oh, if that's what it is, I was hoping to save that for last to be a surprise, but hey, we can work that into the character if y'all want to. Next up is 4. I take great pains to always look my best and follow the latest fashions. My favor once lost is lost forever, and I take great pains to always look my best and follow the latest fashions. We're well dressed. We are well versed with the current lingo. So in your D&D world, you know, what is the equivalent of, you can't even say that you're throwing shade anymore because you'd have to be yeeting shade. You know, what would be the modern parlance if that is a latest fashion as well? You know, instead of something like casting our spells, are we getting our spells did? There we go. His tailor follows him to dress him in the latest trends. We shall see. That could very well be the case, Raz. Yes, Cold Spark. She did. And what that could mean, if these characters were in the same party, they might even have some kind of a relation, or you know, it's hinged. They serve the same family or something along those lines. If we're making a party that then would fit into the realm of an adventure. Oh, well, thank you very much, Herm, for the follow. Welcome aboard. Pull up a chair at our table. Yeah, instead of spellcasters, you're a spell yeeter. Or they're rivals and have Vogue battles. Oh no, their computer blew up. Well, Awaz, that was a very kind thing for you to do. A walk-off like Zoolander? We did make a charismatic monk, didn't we? Was that Vanessa? Yeah, that was Vanessa Silverbone, and she was also a human. And she was also chaotic evil. But then again, I mean, kind of the cruelty of a spoiled child, right? But yeah, so she was the Way of Mercy. And in fact, you know, we said that she had kind of like an Uncle Iroh following her around. Here, this could be that Uncle Iroh. You know, here we have someone who is, you know, more well-versed in the world. He's 47. He is also a noble from the same house. And while he does have this pact with the noble Genie, that doesn't mean that he still couldn't provide temperance to a brash youth. Diadems, you're welcome. That's why you keep coming back, right? Those are on the workshop. It's towards the top in the channel section. In the first category, it has a little 3.5 floppy. That's where the all the workshop material that we do gets uploaded. That you can download it later. Oh, they should be the silver spoons. All right, so that is our personality. And look at all the connections we made by just putting in 2 personality traits. We already are starting to get comfortable with the character and in the character's mindset. What is our ideal? Number 2, responsibility. I think we do have an Uncle Iroh, I guess. It is my duty to respect the authority of those above me, just as those below me must respect mine. You may say, well, hold on, partner. How dare you assign a lawful ideal to a neutral evil character? And to that I say, yeah, you can have an ideal that you pursue even if the expression of yourself doesn't come along in a way that seemingly supports it. You know, how many of us anywhere in the world want world peace, but we also realize that sometimes you gotta use force to achieve peace. Or think of any other kind of societal, socioeconomic, religious, whatever, where we have an ideal, though our methodology in trying to achieve it doesn't, in the immediacy anyway, seem to match what we hope to achieve. We can absolutely have a neutral evil character by alignment, and he holds responsibility in place. And this works doubly as a warlock, where we have made a pact with a patron. We follow the patron's orders and execute their commands. And those under us, which could end up being our niece or whoever, the monk, they owe us respect, and we also owe it to them to correct them and to teach them. That they want to lash out and think that everything is new, or that they know everything, or it's, the culture's ours, old man, or something along those lines. This character still feels that the next generation, those beneath in social standing, age, relationship, or whatever, need to learn that there is an order, that there is a methodology, that there is more than just what appears in front of their eyes, or that what feels good may not always be what is actually best. The future is now, old man. All right, Duality. Well, hey, do what you gotta do, and thank you for joining us for the time that you have. You also said, kind of sounds more like that other fire. I don't remember the name offhand, but I think I get who you're saying. All right, what is our bond? Our bond is number 1. I will face any challenge to win the approval of my family. So we are a protector in this case. And this is why understanding or establishing something like the age of your character can be important. We can have the same warlock on 2 different pages. Everything is the same except their age. And just that alone can put the way that you view or play that character into a whole new light. By the time he's 47, unless for some reason he's an outcast, but given what we've realized so far, I don't think that's the case. He is a protector. I will do anything for my family. Which is also going to help support the fact that if he is neutral evil, he is willing to do anything to protect his family. Hey, Solar, good to see you back. And Grace, welcome back to you as well, Grace. This is exactly the same as the last. No. She was There was differences here. She wants approval, but not for the same reason that he does. She is much younger, and so she needs to prove herself as this little sprout, as this upstart. You know, you're born in the family, you get some privileges, but, you know, that's just by default. That doesn't mean that we have to care about you. There's just societal norms that we're maintaining because you have the lineage. And so by doing this, Senin, you've done a very good job, even randomly, at illustrating that we have the same bond, even among two family members. Oh, goodness.
11 months.
11 months. Thank you so much, Hypnotic Gamer. Hey, yeah, good to see ya. By the way, Hypnotic, I did grab that tiefling for you when I was at the store earlier. And Exhausted Dragon, good to see you back too. And so what this illustrates is, again, just the inflection of age and what that could mean for similar characters. And lastly, the flaw is number 5. In fact, the world does revolve around me. And you know what? With Vanessa, the knight also, in fact, the world does revolve around. It doesn't mean that that this character here could very well be teaching her, yes, you are born into the Silverspoon family. The world revolves around you, and we've made sure of that. You have to keep the world spinning, and you can't let it rest. You can't take it for granted. And so, you know, she has the, I'm a spoiled brat because she has youthful ignorance. He has earned, if you want to call it as such, he has earned that esteem through his age and his wisdom and the application of his familial defenses and support. And so really, Senin, you did an excellent job of showing just how something like age, given similarities between characters, can make a big difference and can form different relationships. How the same sentence can be taken in a couple different ways for just, you know, for unlimited creativity. So don't feel bad at all for these roles, Senin. In fact, the world does revolve around me. And by the way, this is the fun of roleplay. You may not, have this, your nose in the air or blue blood in your veins here. You may very well be, as an oxymoron, the humblest person you know. But when you get to roleplay a character like this, you can carry yourself as if your poo is not fragrant. That you can assert yourself with authority over others, and be this character. You know, if you're a dungeon master, you could be the nicest guy or girl in the world, though you are also playing, psychotic villains, murderers. You're playing ancient evils with alien psychology. You're playing people who want to see entire countries or whatever just erased off the face of the map. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. Actually, people would argue that makes you an excellent dungeon master. Oh, yeah, Crumdradi, that's a good parallel. And so with this, Nina, I'm sorry to say, because I know you want some more combat maids, I think the maids are going to be the ones that follow the little protege, Vanessa, around. I think with this character and how esteemed he is, how he is a singular force in his family, that even as a knight, as a role of knight, you know, which could mean that he's like the second or third brother of his generation. So, you know, he was put into military duty instead of, you know, as the inheritor or the executor in some fashion. I think that this would be proper for a position of privilege, where this character can go in and demand an audience with the mayor, and the mayor will stop his council meeting with whatever the local merchants guild, and actually go out and speak with him because of that weight, of that importance. All right, are we done with character building? Like, are we good? I think we have a character already. Why should we bother with anything else? We have a character that lives and breathes, is a part of a world and a society and an economy. We can understand how he makes decisions. It makes it a lot easier to roleplay a character like this, doesn't it? When you understand these prompts. Yeah, this was a quick one, right, Demon? Who cares what his constitution score is? By the way, here's my big brain energy right here. If I got to recharge. I just do this and nod sagely. Well, alright. Let's go and apply some other things to this character, Kromdrade. Alright, as a human, we get no dark vision, 30 feet of run, 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. And we have our languages. We are going to get a skill and a feat, as well as a +1 to 2 different ability scores. And I don't know, for right now I think I'll float charisma and intelligence. But you know what, if we want to give him strength or dex or whatever, but right now we know that we're floating our 2. Now, given his personality, which skill do you think that he would have proficiency in? Remember, my favor once lost is lost forever. I take great pains to always look my best and follow the latest fashions. Responsibility. It is my duty to respect the authority of those above me, just as those below me must respect mine. I will face any challenge to win the approval of my family, and in fact, the world does revolve around me. Our background already gave us persuasion and history. If we want to be something like a judge of character, that could be insight. We could always, if we are stern, intimidation could be a factor. Senan seems to agree, insight and intimidation. Yeah, he might not be, he might not have the muscles for athletics, and I don't really see a lot of this coming into play here, which would give him more of the mental skill. Senan, with intimidation or insight, Kromdrade says intimidation. So we get 1, and it seems like we have 2 for intimidation. If we're going to lean into the protector, could he have some medicine? Maybe, or is that what one of the valets that follow around, one of the retainers, offers? He may be a protector, but that doesn't mean he's a healer. In fact, he may even let Vanessa get bumps and scrapes and to, to get a bloody nose, whether it's in reputation, by being embarrassed at something, or to scrape her knee, because she needs to learn, and that's the best weapon to fight against ignorance, which is what he's trying to do, and instill these lessons in this noble child of House Silverspoon. I don't know if I'm picking up a survival. Survival is, he would be going out in the wilds, and it's not that people from noble houses don't go camping or may not do that, but I don't think that I don't know, nothing's really jumping out to me that he would have these kinds of survival skills. Like, he goes out into the world, but I don't think he's a camper, or if he camps, he camps in a, like a $500,000 state-of-the-art RV. You go camping on a parking pad with full electricity, cable, electricity, sanitation, All right, so let's fill in intimidation. Glamping. Yeah, there you go, demon. Well, and hey, you know what? For the sake of moving on, I'll move on. It's not that you all have bad ideas, or that somehow my ideas are better. But if you want to rearrange these dots in your mind, or when you download it off Discord later, play around with his stats and his proficiencies. All right, the feat we're gonna decide later, but this is what we get for being a human. Congratulations. Now we're going to build a Warlock. Yay! We're gonna build 20 levels of Warlock. My goodness, that means that we have a +6 proficiency bonus. That means that we're gonna know 4 cantrips. 2, 3, and 4. Our spells known we're gonna get to. Our spell slots, we're gonna have 4 5th level spell slots. There we go. And then we're going to get our invocations. Level 2, we get 2. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we get our 3rd one at level 5. Our 4th one at 7. Our 5th one at 9. Our 6th one at 12. Our 7th at 15. And our 8th at 18. I list that out similar to how we do spells, but also there are some invocations that do have a level requirement. That also said, kind of like your spells, when you level up, you can also swap out invocations. Still, if we're going to build a character like as is, as you see them, we might as well just take that into consideration. But hey, again, swap them out if you want. You have all 20 levels, I guess 19, because you get your first 2 at 2. We are a D8 hit die class, and we get 20 of those because we're level 20, and that is a pool of natural healing that we can spend on a rest. Armor proficiencies: light armor and simple weapons. Then we get to choose 2 skills from Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. Are any 2 of these really popping out at you all? Arcana, Deception, History, which, by the way, if we like Insight, because Insight isn't Warlock, we could actually move our human skill to Insight, take Intimidation from Warlock, and then add 1 other. And if we do that, what is 1 other skill from the list that you think would fit this character? Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. We already have history also, I should say. You know, if he dips into the Arcana could work. Deception. I think we have a social. We have a very social warlock. Not just in mechanical terms of casting pew pew spells, but I think we have a warlock here that, you know, you know, we are a. Shoot, I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe we were chosen by our patron because we are influential. And we are a face to talk to. Investigation could support that as well. You know, intelligence and charisma are going to be high on this character. In fact, those might even be the top two. As we might be building more of a mental warlock and not really worry about our physical stats at all. But we'll see. Favors lost forever. I look my best. I'll face any challenge to win the approval of my family, and in fact, the world does revolve around me. You know, so I can entertain Arcana, but, you know, he has magic. I think magic to him is a tool and not really a source of study, right? The authority over him gives him magic and says, use it this way, and I don't think he's going to question it. He knows that it works. I don't think he really cares how it works, just that it works. So investigation, yeah, to point out things, to you know, to help solve riddles. I think that might work. Yeah, Grace with the cat butt. Yep. Oh, all right, we meet so soon to part, I guess. Hi. I didn't even get to pet you. What's going on? I'll give you some noggin scritches. Oh, there we go. Oh, the ear, yeah. Ooh, dem's good scritchings. They don't make that like that anymore. Starting equipment, not going to worry about it. I mean, if we attack with strength, if we attack with dex, it'll be what it is. Honestly, by level 20, we might have a light crossbow. We might have a light crossbow that has a ton of enchantments or something on it. Or we might find fighting with weapons is actually kind of, you know, whatever, vile, or it's just nothing that we want to involve ourselves in. Yeah, Grace, if you want some boxes, you can sponsor them now, and then once we complete the character, I'll pop them open for you. Our invocations we'll get to. As that will reflect a little bit more about, that'll reflect a little bit more about, you know, who we are as a warlock and the things that our role in a party. We are also going to get Eldritch Master. 20th level, you can draw on your inner reserve of mystical power while entreating your patron to regain expended spell slots. You can spend 1 minute entreating your patron for aid to regain all your expended spell slots from your Pact magic feature. Once you regain spell slots with this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can do so again. All right. Now we're going to explore. Our subclass. Though I do want to remind us that we are a chain lock. Oh, coming back? Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, you're a beautiful presence. And that the Pact of the Chain, it allows us to summon a familiar that can do some different things. You learn the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a ritual. The spell doesn't count against the number of spells known. When you cast the spell, you can choose one of the normal forms or a special form. Additionally, when you take the attack action, you can forego one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to make one attack of its own with its reaction. She's licking my arm. Do I not meet standards? I mean, I appreciate it, but why are you... Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you. All right, very good. Yep. Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, goodness. I guess she's the reason why y'all come here. Our subclass, the Noble Genie. You made a pact with one of the rarest of genie kind, a Noble Genie. Such entities are rulers of vast fiefs on the elemental planes and have great influence over lesser genies and elemental creatures. Noble genies are varied in their motivations, but are all arrogant collectors of creatures, knowledge, and treasure. A genie values their collection and will protect that which they claim ownership over. This character is fitting this pretty well, huh? Through your connection to the noble, you can leverage their influence and extend their ownership of things in the multiverse. So here's our expanded spell list, and remember, these are not like oath spells, domain spells, or land spells. These are simply spells you can take to fill in the spells that you could normally have as a warlock. Fog Cloud, Sleep, Enlarge, Reduce, Phantasmal Force, Create Food and Water, Protection from Energy, Polymorph, Phantasmal Killer, Big B's Hand, and Creation. Well, so there we go. We are a glamper. Everything that we need to go camping, we just magically manifest. Oh, those are good scritches. Look at that, the eyes rolling back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. A collector's vessel. Here, I'll move this over a little bit here. Doop, doop, doop. Your patron gives you a magical vessel with which you can bind a creature to you and to your patron's menagerie. The vessel is a tiny object, and it is a spellcasting focus for you. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the collector's vessel table. If you lose your vessel, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony. So it's kind of like the tome in this case. So you can get it back if you lose it. As an action while you're holding it, you target a willing creature you can see within 100 feet. And you create a tether of wispy elemental material that links to the target to you. The tether lasts for an hour until you use this feature to create another tether until the bound target... Oh, so this could very well be his niece that he tethers. Well, you are tethered to a creature. You gain the following benefits. You gain a bonus to your perception. And when you cast a spell, you can deliver the spell from your space or the bound creature's space. And so he sends his Pokemon, his niece, into combat as a monk. And through the tether, he can cast spells through her while she's also walloping people. You can create the tether a number of times equal to your current... Oh my.
Jesus, bless this box.
Bless this box. Grace, let me know which box you'd like, and I will make sure that when we finish this character up here shortly, we'll pop it open for you. When you cast a spell, you can deliver the spell from your space or the bound creature's space. You can create the tether a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. And you get them back on a long rest. Grace, will you do us a favor? If we're talking about genie lamps and vessels containing, little fun things to collect, would you please roll a d6 in chat with !roll space 1d6 and let us know what kind of a vessel are we carrying around so that we can play D&D Pokemans. 2, an urn. Oh my, an urn. I wonder who, if anyone, or what is inside. Yeah. All right, next up, we are getting elemental resistance. Your patron grants you protection from an element. Whenever you finish a long rest, you gain resistance to acid, cold, fire, or lightning damage, your choice, until the end of your next long rest. While the tether of your collector's vessel is active, the tethered creature gains resistance to the damage type you chose. Everyone, it was put up there above. It writes itself with the dynamic that was randomly rolled into between this character and Vanessa the monk. This works so well together. It's spooky how well everything is coalescing. Elemental resistance. We also get Protective Wish. You are now able to use your collector's vessel to wish for protection for yourself or your tethered creature. If you or the tethered creature is hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to teleport, swapping places with the creature and switching which one of you is hit by the attack. Didn't we say, because of his personality, he'd actually be the one that lets his niece get a bloody nose so that she learns what pain is, so that she learns a lesson, so that she becomes tougher and just won't complain about not getting a lollipop whenever she wants one? It's spooky because Nina's here. Nina Spooky Wang, if that is your real name. Which clearly it is. Genie's Entertainment. And by the way, the monk is a healing type monk, or it has healing capabilities. As an action, you attempt to send a creature you can see within 90 feet of you to your patron's court. The target must succeed on a charisma saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC, or be magically drawn into your vessel and teleported to your patron's court in the elemental planes. While there, the target is stunned, and your patron marvels at the target with amusement, but brings no harm to it. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, reappearing in the space it left or in the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. If the target remains in your patron's court for 1 minute, the genie sends the target back at the end of its turn as if it has successfully saved, and you regain the use of this feature. Collector's Call. Or call and collect. And this is our capstone. In exchange for extending your patron's influence over the multiverse, you can call on more of their power. As an action, you can implore your patron for aid by making a persuasion check against your Warlock spell save DC. And we have persuasion. Naturally, without even reading ahead for this. If the check succeeds, you can choose one of the following effects. A creature you can see within 60 feet of you regains 8d6 hit points and ends one disease or condition afflicting it. Blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. So, we'll send our Pokemon niece into combat, but we can, after she's proven herself, we can help patch her up. A creature you can see within 60 feet of you has disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. And by the way, that is powerful. We're talking a sorcerer needs to spend 3 sorcery points for a heightened spell metamagic to just get disadvantage on a saving throw, let alone getting it comboed with attack rolls. And we can do that effectively for free every action. And you cast the Legend Lore spell without material components. Whether the check succeeds or fails, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Alternatively, you can regain the use of this feature by sacrificing non-magical treasure worth at least 500 gold pieces to your patron. This sacrifice requires the treasure to be within 10 feet of you for at least 1 minute, at the end of which you use an action to teleport the treasure to your patron's realm, provided you have the vessel of your collector's vessel in hand. Yeah, and you know what? Senin, that could be the case, because it could be, Senin, you said dead wife? It could, the girl's father, which could be the brother of this warlock. And he carries it around, and so she's kind of been spoiled. He wants to teach her a lesson and to groom her to be a proper Silverspoon. And so under the watchful, apparently dead eye of her father as the vessel, he carries around and instructs his niece in how to be a proper Silverspoon in the world. And remember, the Path of Mercy as a monk does heal. It also is meant to put an end to people who suffer. And what do you want to bet? That one of the first lessons that was taught to this little girl from a very stern tutor, who would be the brother of her father, she, as the heir, would actually have had to be the one to put her father out of his sickness or whatever. Right? He's all about teaching the harsh lessons. She needs to grow up and learn. And she needs to realize that she has a sense of entitlement and empowerment. Because to defend your title, you got to be powerful. And so there was probably a moment where, of course, the family's around, around the deathbed of the dying noble patron or something. And so there's the brother, who, may very well love his brother, his dying brother. And so, the girl who's, I think we gender at 13, but maybe she's just newly started. Of course, we made her at level 20, but, I mean, we can explain that with whatever. Or honestly, any of these could be level 20. They could all be level 10. The level is an exercise in exploring the mechanics. We're still getting a feel for the characters. And so the uncle tells his niece, if you are going to step up and be an heir to the Silverspoons, you need to give your father a mercy. And that sets her on the path to be this Way of Mercy monk. And so, here she is, she's crying, I don't want to do it. And there's this tense moment, where he's like, do it! He's my brother, I love him too. But if you don't do this, our family is ruined. Or some other tense moment. I mean, have fun with this in roleplay. And so she uses the gifts that she's been manifesting or taught or whatever, and gives a mercy to her father. And in so doing, takes that first big step into young adulthood from a child. It doesn't mean she stopped being spoiled or that, she thinks people should bow down to her just because she exists. But this sends them out into the world so that he can help refine her and reform her before it's too late, because he will do anything for his family. And what happened to his brother wasn't a power play for power itself, although he may very well be holding some sort of executive authority, as a head of this retainer family of knights or however. He did this because it was proper. Family takes care of itself, including making the call that he is too far gone. and you need to learn. And so not only can both of you can benefit from the same act. Ta-da! Roleplay. GM Vault says, creating these characters makes me want to play D&D. I would recommend it sometime, GM Vault. Give it a try. It's a relatively new hobby, geologically speaking. And, you know, it's worth a couple hours a week. Oh, well, I'm glad that I'm able to inspire you, Demon. All right. So what do we have going on? We now understand more about what it is to be this type of a Genie's envoy. We're going to return back. We're going to go back to the player's handbook, and I want to explore which invocations would this character take. We have someone who is a non-combatant. All of our physical stats are going to be our poopy stats. We are someone who attacks at range. We are someone who is a controller. And in fact, because we can summon a familiar that can fight for us, we probably would take the two invocations that are for Chain Pact Warlocks. The Chains of Carceri. You can cast Hold Monster at will, targeting a Celestial Fiend or Elemental, without expending a spell slot or material components. If we're talking about Genies and Elementals, well, you must finish a long rest before you can use this invocation on the same creature again. Or again, if you prefer. So I think that the Chains of Carceri is absolutely something that this character would do. We would also take Voice of the Chainmaster. You can communicate telepathically with your familiar and perceive through your familiar's senses as long as you are in the same plane of existence. Additionally, while perceiving through your familiar's senses, you can also speak through your familiar in your own voice, even if your familiar is normally incapable of speech. And you know what else comes to mind? Gaze of Two Minds. You can use your action to touch a willing humanoid and perceive through its senses until the end of your next turn. As long as the creature is on the same plane of existence as you, you can use your action on subsequent turns to maintain the connection. He'll look through the servants. He'll look through the niece, or he'll look through other people. We have someone who is like a very classic vizier. Again, like a coach, a mentor. Especially because Nina, yes. Kind of, yeah. Something else I think this character would take, especially to avoid combat, would be Ascendant Step. You cast Levitate on yourself at will without expending a spell slot or material components. Let's see. What are some other ones? If we're also someone in search of treasures, something like Eyes of the Runekeeper could be important. Mask of Many Faces could work as well. Even Minions of Chaos were already kind of elementally aligned. This would allow us to cast Conjure Elemental once using a Warlock spell slot. Mask of Many Faces. I do agree with that duality. If we want to keep people away from us, you know, this is something we rarely do. And that is to actually, well, not only give a Warlock the Eldritch Blast cantrip, because, you know, we have before, but a lot of our Warlocks have actually been quite functional without Eldritch Blast, let alone enhancing it. Though if we have someone who is mostly removed from combat, stays away at a distance, and doesn't want people near him, he would probably take Repelling Blast. When you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 10 feet away from you in a straight line. Exactly, duality. That way his Pokemon, his Pokemunk, can deal with them. Hey, Real Slugs, welcome back. Let's see, 2 more. Eyes of the Runekeeper I think could work. You think Witch Sight? You can see the true form of any shape changer. You know, shape changers have been brought up in these subclasses, and if we are, you know, if we are someone who is trying to look through the veil and to teach about the real world, you can see the true form of any shape changer or creature concealed by illusion or transmutation magic. That's actually a pretty good one. Nina, excellent call on that. It doesn't make up for the fact that you are the class delinquent, but what that means is I guess you just, after school, you hang out in, like, the play yard with a mask and a baseball bat while kind of just, like, squatting against a wall, just kind of hanging out with some other people or just sort of, you know, like, doing that. So, there you go. I think Witch Sight is very good. Beast speech could actually also be another one if we can speak with animals. Because while we're dealing with people, this could allow us to also exert our control over more in others. Yeah, you're looking all delinquenty, but you're helping kids with their homework. Beast speech might be a good one.
Many fall in the face of chaos, but not this one. Not today.
Ooze Undertaking, thank you very much for the host. Excellent. Now, we're going to go to our feat. Actually, hang on, not yet. Not yet. Although, if you have one in mind, keep it in mind. We have a standard array that we are going to put into our character here. We have the chassis, now it's time to drop the Hemi into it. Absolutely. 15 charisma. Absolutely 14 int. Absolutely 13 wisdom. Yeah, we human variant. Turbo Diesel. There we go. Hemi. I think that strength wouldn't be our strong suit. And the question becomes, you know, I think that having a higher con is going to be better. Because we can maintain our spells a little bit easier. Because why worry about dex if we're not attacking ourselves, or if we're doing everything we can to stay out of combat? By levitating, by doing all kinds of things. And so this is my proposition to you all. 12 con, 10 dex, 8 strength. That would give us a 15 intelligence. That would give us a 16 charisma. Now from here, is there a feat in particular that you think, before we add our ability score improvements, is there a feat in particular that you think a character like this could really get some use out of? Yenarel, you think Spell Sniper? We can check that out. You have learned techniques to enhance your attacks with certain kinds of spells, gaining the following benefits. When you cast a spell, it requires you to make an attack roll. The spell's range is doubled, and your ranged spell attacks ignore half cover and 3/4. You learn one cantrip that requires an attack roll. Choose one from that spell list. Your spellcasting ability for this cantrip depends on the spell you chose. So he'd get another cantrip, and he'd because he is an avoidant type character. He is an avoidant type character. He can pew pew from further away. What about? That's not a bad idea. What about Resilient? No, I doubt he's going to carry weapons or even really wear armor. So I don't know if Warcaster would be something. If we took Resilient, not only would it increase our con by a little bit, we would have proficiency in saving throws to maintain concentration. So we'd get, theoretically, more hit points, and we would hold on to our spells. Because we're the type of character that would just grit through it. We'd take the blows to maintain control. Because, damn it, I'm sorry, heckin' darn it, we are the Silverspoons, and we are going to endure. Heck. So Duality likes that? Real Slugs likes that? Resilient con. Proficiency, and we go up to a 13. Pharmacias, hello. You will not tarnish the silver spoons. Oh, sure. All right, Demon. Now we can add our 10 points into into our ability scores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Absolutely 4 are going into charisma. And not just because he's a warlock. We have someone who, even if he's not a warlock, he could be a fighter. He could be just a bread and butter champion fighter. This character has a force of personality that demands a higher charisma because of that. Now, the Warlock stuff, that's frosting on the cake. Toughness is, yes, Senin. I think that we can round up our intelligence. I think we can round up our wisdom. And this is going to give us 4 more. Which is going to put us in an interesting pinch. Because I really think that we should at least put 1 more into Constitution. And now from here, there are so many things that do require wisdom saving throws if we're going to be subjected to them. As well, Constitution saving throws, which are going to give us hit points and the ability to hold our concentration, because we're probably not passing too many dex checks. I would argue that the 2 go into wisdom. Because I think we're going to be more subjected to those saves. And in a role-playing sense, he is wise. If we do that, that puts our wisdom to 16. Now, if we wanted this higher, I think we could seed. We could have put the wisdom at the initial 15 instead of, at 14 instead of the int, or however we did it. He's still intelligent. I think we're good as we are. Now, what does this mean? We have one floating point. Oh no. You can obtain a mechanical benefit from an increase in your strength ability score. While your mod won't be affected, an extra point in your strength ability score means that you can lift, pull, push, drag, deadlift, whatever, jump in height and length a little bit more. And so by putting that spare one up here, it's not a waste, because now we're a little bit stronger. And it could come in handy. Yep, hey, Daly's got it. You've heard that speech before. Well, hey, you know, it's a roleplay opportunity then. I mean, play into it. It might mean that you have to use other resources more. You might have to confer with other people, but in so doing, you're going to build bonds in your adventuring world, and that could come into play in a clutch moment. So you may not be singularly as wise as the strongest clerics of your order, but that means that you actually do have to work with other people to build a network, to shrewdly manage your resources, more than just powerhouses might, which means that ultimately you might actually have a better base for your character than if your character just naturally had pure wisdom. All right, -1 mod, or strength mod. 0 dex, 2 con, 3 int, 3 wisdom, and 5 charisma. So, saving throw and athletics. Dex is 0 all the way. Con is going to be 8. Int is going to be a respectable 3s and 9s. Wisdom is going to be the same, with some 3s and 9s. And charisma is going to have 5s and 11s. Or 55, apparently, deception. Our passive perception is going to be 13, as that's 10 plus your mod. And that presents your natural awareness of what's happening around you. Our armor class, I don't know. I mean, it could very well just be 10, even at level 20. Or we could be wearing magic robes. I'm going to put a question mark, because by level 20, I don't know what armor you want to give this person. Our initiative is a +0, as that's a dex check. And now for our hit points, we get all 8 of our all 8 hit points from our D8 hit die at level 1. Our remaining 19 we're going to get 5, as that's half plus 1, unless your DM says otherwise. Then for all 20 levels, we get bonus hit points equal to our Constitution modifier. And so with this simple math, we come over here, 40 bonus, 95 from additional class. So this is going to make us 135 plus 8 is 143 hit points at level 20. Okay, strength, but I had to decide between good con or wisdom, and my party's all squishy rogues. Well, don't forget, and so Fat Jesus 9, you can run a functional cleric with a low wisdom. It's simply, it might mean that the spells you take are supporting spells. There are plenty of spells that require no rolls and no saves. They just happen. They provide an effect that it's there, and it's useful. And so that means that as a cleric, you can concentrate on strength or con. You can step up where the party needs you, and you don't have to then also split your attention with spell casting in that regard. You can simply roll. You can have the cleric that manifests his will or her will on the battlefield. Fog Cloud. Play a controller. There's no saves. There's nothing you have to roll. You could have a negative wisdom and make a Fog Cloud, and the Fog Cloud's going to be just as effective. You can employ it tactfully. In fact, your party might even start revolving around you because you get to use these unique spells. Alright, if we're attacking with a strength weapon, we're going to attack with a +5. A dex weapon at a +6. If we're attacking with spells, we're pew-pewing at a +11, and it's a 19 to save against them. We are certainly a spellcaster. Alright, now we come down here. We are casting as a Warlock. We cast off of Charisma, 19 to save, and a +11 to hit. And our spell slots are 0, 0, 0, 0, 4. We get 4 cantrips. And I'm not going to be filling in the spell list, as, this is something that you can fill in if you download this character off our Discord yourself. We are going to get, from our Pact, find familiar as a ritual. Okay. Let's go back to Warlock. And then you can see when we get spells. What clicked when I rolled? That's the question. Just my rolling mat? Yeah, I think it's just my little rolling mat. It's a fixed list caster, which means that you can swap out a spell when you level up. If you don't like something, you can swap them one at a time. And also remember that you can take... If you can cast 4th level spells, you don't have to take a 4th level spell. You can take a 1st level spell, as long as it's within your realm to cast. That said, I'm going to fill this out as if we're just progressing naturally as we would get spells. So at level 1, we know 2 spells. And then there's level 3. Or, I'm sorry, level 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm sorry. At level 9, we get our 10th spell. But at level 10... At level 10, we do not. It does progress up to that point. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. We hit level 5 spells. We never get level 6, 7, 8, or 9 spells as a Warlock. What this means is our 11th spell, our 12th spell, our 13th simply comes back through here somehow. However you want to decide it. So if you want to go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you can. So this would be level 11, level 13, level 15, level 17, level 19. Again, move these around as you want. This is simply showing a distribution of spells. Though if you read the source document, it'll tell you how you can play around with them. Now, what we do get for our high end is something called Mystic Arcanum. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. And we get a Mystic Arcanum. We get one each. And if we actually want to assign these, that's 11, 13, 15, 17. Ta-da. Because we do have Repelling Blast, I know we're actually making a Warlock that uses Eldritch Blast. Ew, that's gross. But you know what? It's very appropriate for this character and our character's personality. And as for the others, it could be what you want. Could be what you want. Then, of course, you can come down here for the companion. If you have a favorite familiar that you want to summon, yeah, load it in here on page 4. That way you have quick access. Well, here you go, everyone. The conclusion to this, well, 2 parts. One, he's no longer a set of stats. What is this character's name? And 2, if you recall, what is something that proves that we're from our house? What is the equivalent of our signet ring? And that was trinket number 74. And if we go here, boop-a-doop-a-doop. 74 reads, a fan that while unfolded shows a sleeping cat. That could be the mark of our house. And of course, as a supervisor, we sit back and we can fan ourselves. Could be something like a Cheshire Cat. That would be interesting. Maybe that's where that's where we summon our familiar from. Or even if we want our familiar, you might have a DM that would actually allow you to cosmetically flavor your familiar as an aspect of your genie patron. And so you actually would be summoning a little genie as your familiar. It would function like an imp or whatever you wanted it to, but why not reskin it as a genie and completely just completely immerse yourself into the theme? Why not both? Huh? Senan, you think Jacob Silverspoon? All right, well, if any of you have other name suggestions, not that that's bad, Senan. If there's others, I'll jumble them together. I'm going to get up and... Grace, if you're still here, I need to get up and take a quick break first, and then I will pop your miniatures box, okay? We'll pop your box before we start our next one, but I have to get up and go, okay? And then let me know which box you want. If you said it before, I'm sorry I missed it. But let me know which one you're interested in. Oh, and cat, right as we also cut.